William Clouston's here from the SDP. Very good morning to you, William.
Good to be here.
Nice to see you. We've got to talk about a lot of stuff, and we haven't got a lot of time. So let's kick it off, shall we, with Keir Starmer. He's off to Brussels today to reset our relationship with the European Union. I didn't ask him to do that.
No.
I didn't ask him to reopen negotiations about the single market. I didn't think that when people voted to leave the European Union, they expected, 9 years later for some bloke to pitch up, or 8 years later, I should say, to pitch up and try and unpick it all.
Yeah, well, he's totally untrustworthy on this subject, as he is on many other things. But he's going to see von der Leyen, and the mood music is that the EU want a deal which gives young people the right to live and work anywhere in Europe. So they're very keen on that, and they said that when he went to Berlin. And
because they can't get work, funnily enough, in any of their own countries.
That's right, yeah, makes sense.
Which are supposedly doing better than we are, but they're not really, are they?
No, not really. No, anyway, but Starmer, to his credit, I suppose, has said he's got no plans for that. But that doesn't mean anything, does it, Mike? Because he said that sort of thing about everything. So
well, the guy's a liar, right?
Yeah.
He goes back on, rows back on everything he's ever said and does things that he says he would never do.
No. Well, anyway, so the summary is that the EU want it. He's saying he has no plans. We'll wait and see what happens. Anything could happen on this. We don't actually want this. No. When we had an open labour market, wages went down. That's the thing. We got some very good people from the Central Europe, some very good immigrants, but it's not good in the long run to have this. It discourages training and it discourages investment, so I don't want it.
Right.
So
and as I say, I said to Grant Shapps a minute ago, he has no mandate for it either.
None at all.
Nobody's given him permission. It wasn't in his manifesto, was it?
No.
He didn't say that he was going to do it. And he's spending an awful lot of time out of the country as well.
He is, yeah. I'm always suspicious of this because what we want is a government that actually does the basics.
Yeah.
We have too many people in politics that think it's about messaging or going to Taylor Swift gigs or taking expensive gifts, and not enough people that just get on and make sure things work.
Well, I mean, I was saying only yesterday that we haven't really seen him since last Wednesday when he was at the United Nations in New York. No. He hasn't been visible. He didn't do any interviews at the weekend. He hasn't spoken. Finally came out last night with a press conference, but he did it very, very quickly about Israel, which is kind of incongruous to me because he was talking about how we stand fully behind Israel. Meanwhile, his foreign secretary is refusing to give them arms, which would help them fight Iran, who are currently attacking them. And then he scurried off after 2 questions, as if he was frightened of being asked about, Trousergate or whatever it's called.
Well, he will. He's absolutely on the back foot. In fact, the whole government is. And then, you talk about New York. We had Miliband and the foreign secretary going off doing a little sort of, it looked like a comedy sketch.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing.
I know. Sue Gray was over there as well.
Yeah.
Sue Gray she seems to go everywhere.
Yeah. No, I mean, but that's the trouble, Mike. They think politics consists in doing these silly little videos or saying the right thing. No, it consists in
getting freebies,
making things work.
Well, this morning's
the quiet work, Mike, of making things work. Build some nuclear power stations.
Right. Well, this morning's, sleaze report, the sleaze watch, as we like to call it, will tell you that Keir Starmer has received a £25,000 donation from Peter Coates, who's from the stock-based online gambling company Bet365. We've got Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary, accepted a £3,457 ticket and matchday hospitality for the England-Denmark European Championship semi-final at Wembley. Louise Haig, the transport secretary, accepted £1,400 worth of freebies, including tickets and hospitality. I'm not sure what this is going to be like. Barnsley, Sheffield.
That's pretty painful, probably.
That doesn't cost 1,400 quid, does it?
No.
Barnsley.
No.
Come on.
No, but there's... I had my own pain last night on Loftus Road watching QPR lose to Hull City.
Right. They seem addicted to freebies.
They do, but there's a big, important point to this. The public are sick of these politicians and parties taking bungs and big money, Mike, off these interest groups.
They've taken £1 million quid altogether from casino companies.
Why are they doing that? Why? Because they want... The betting companies want to influence government policy. That's the only reason they would do it. They're not stupid. They're not just...
And also the public aren't stupid. The public keeps saying, and Labour keep trying to bat it away by saying, Lord Ali's already got a peerage. Why would he possibly want anything else? Well, he clearly wants to influence policy.
He does.
Doesn't he?
Donors tend to want to influence policy, but things like big betting companies and big interest groups buying off government policy. Yeah. We saw this with the Tories, housing. In the 2019 Electoral Commission details, the Tories took over £10 million from the house builders. Why did they do that? To influence government policy, to do help to buy, do all these things. And
or so to not build there, build over here.
Yeah, it distorts things. So I'd have all of this stop, Mike. You've got to stop it. The public don't want politicians parties taking bungs. And I paid for my own seat, thank you.
And all they've done so far is say that they won't take any more free clothes.
Yeah.
They haven't said
It's
they
not
won't take
about
any
that.
more tickets.
It's not
No,
about-
of course it's not.
No,
They missed the point.
The
don't
big
they?
money is in the lobbying.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the EU, and it's the same in Washington, D.C., and people are fed up with it.
Yeah.
Elect people that actually have your interests at
Well,
heart.
everybody knows, and anyone who talks about the American political system knows, that if you become a senator, you go in with whatever money you've got, you come out a multi-millionaire. You know, they all make a fortune. Look at Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You know, he's a multi-millionaire. As Donald Trump said when they were standing up
How did
against
that
each
happen,
other,
yeah.
how did he go from, you know, making $150,000 a year to being a multi-millionaire that owns about 5 homes?
No, it stinks. I'm fed up with it.
It's shocking.
The whole of our politics across the Western world is actually infected with this stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny, actually, if you go back generations ago, you did have politicians like, you know, de Gaulle in France wouldn't accept anything.
Right.
Nothing. Paid all his own bills.
Yeah.
Salazar, not everyone's favourite, but he acquired nothing, lived on a salary, basic salary. When he died, there was about enough money to buy a couple of a flat in Lisbon.
Right.
He said, actually, famously, he said, when I leave office, I'll turn up my pockets and there'll be nothing but dust.
Yes.
And that's, you actually want leaders that have a little bit of integrity and are not in the pocket, constantly on the make.
Well, I like that, or the sort of the very wealthy versions of people like Bloomberg, Michael Bloomberg, when he was mayor of New York. He didn't take a salary, he took $1 as his salary, because he said, I don't need the money.
Well,
and actually, I prefer that than somebody who's grubbing around for sort of, you know, 10 here, a couple of grand there, you know,
yeah, well, you know,
free tickets.
You know your American politics.
Yeah.
So Kennedy, his first national security advisor, he got to work for $1.
Yeah.
For the country's
Right.
good, for the country's
And
sake.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Rupert, what's his face? Rupert Lowe from the Reform Party, one of the 5 MPs in Parliament. He gives his salary every month to a different charitable organisation in his constituency, which I think is brilliant.
Dennis Skinner used to take the average wage of the workers in his constituency.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid we need to bring that back.
Yeah. We've got to get away from...
People in the trough, always in the trough.
It's absolutely awful.
Yeah.
I've got a message from voice note from Kevin on Reform UK. Have a listen to this.
Morning, Mike. Kevin in Sheffield. Really enjoyed your interview with Zia Youssef. I think he spoke for a lot of right-minded people in this country. It is time that the Tories and Labour were pushed to one side and we had a clean break. Somebody new, with new ideas. They've done nothing for us for years and years and years. Great show, Mike. Keep up the good work.
Kevin, thank you very much indeed. I think that he speaks for a lot of people, Kevin. People are also fed up with this two-party system.
They are.
And obviously this plays to you as the SDP. How do you change that? How do you get access to kind of the levers of power? I mean, we've seen Reform get amazing results, you know, 4 million votes, but only 5 seats. The Liberal Democrats get less numbers of people and 71 seats.
No, it's crazy.
Seats.
It's a crazy system, and it suits and protects the two big parties. Who, the problem with the big parties also is that there's very little between them, and they govern in the same ways. We've now got, you know, a chancellor that's
just as sleazy as
the
one
same
another
sort
as well.
of austerity and the same sort of policies, stopping investment as the previous government. No, I mean, I can feel that something's happening. The cliche is that Labour were elected on a vote that was a mile wide and an inch deep, and that's true. I've never seen a government collapse so quickly in popularity.
Unbelievable.
And I think anything's possible in the next election. What I would love to see, Mike, what I'd love to see, I'm not sure if the Greens and the Lib Dems are big enough to do this, but what I'd love to see is a grand coalition to change the voting system between the Greens, the Lib Dems, Reform, us and a few other parties that want it, and I think the public could go for it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, proportional representation is a kind of, you know, dirty word or two words, which comes up from time to time.
Yeah.
I know Richard Tice is very keen on it. But at the end of the day, nobody's really going to go for it, are they? Because whenever anybody gets elected government, I mean, Starmer said he liked it, but he hasn't said a word about it since he's been in.
And the Labour Party actually liked it. They actually backed it at a conference motion 2 years ago, but then they win power and suddenly they go off it. I think the public will decide this in the end, because I think it's going to be very volatile. The world's a very dangerous place. Look what's happening in the Middle East.
I know.
We have crisis after crisis after crisis. Public faith in our politics is collapsing. I think in the next election anything could happen. But if I would call the bluff of the people that say they want PR. If you genuinely want it, join a coalition with all of us and get it done.
Right. Good speech. William, thank you very much indeed. Just before we go and leave you, there's a picture we can show you from last night. Keir Starmer on the phone to Benjamin Netanyahu while Israel was under attack. This was shortly before the press conference, I presume. He did say he'd spoken to Benjamin Netanyahu, but it's all about Keir Starmer, isn't it? Let's put out a picture and see how important he is.
That's because they think it's all about publicity.
Yeah.
They don't think it's about reality.
Right. There it is. Oh, that's the press conference. We haven't got the picture. We'll show it to you in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's all about sort of performative politics, isn't it?
You've got there's a whole political class. SW1 is full of people that don't. A lot of the problem, Mike, is they haven't had proper jobs. A lot of these people. Have a look at the skill base of the current Labour government. Very few with any commercial experience. None of them run anything, built anything from scratch. Nothing. They've all been hovering around.
They've all been
advising
counsellors or advisors.
And it's very poor.
It shows. They don't know how to operate at all. Shocking stuff. William Clouston, thank you very much indeed.